It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, what's happening in the city of Hazleton? Well, a lot, I would think. Remember, folks, I've said to you a number of times, I'd like to keep you informed of what's happening in the greater Hazleton area, particularly in the city of Hazleton. To bring you up to date of what's happening today, we have Mayor Joseph Yannuzzi along with the Hazleton Police Chief, Frank DeAndrea. Let me just tell you, folks, now here's what I'd like for you to do. Do some homework after this show. I would like for you to deal with facts. We hear a lot of rhetoric, folks, when around political times. We hear a lot of things being said, but deal with facts. For example, take the city of Hazleton and start comparing it with cities of our own size. And you may be going into Easton, going into Williamsport, maybe Mount Lebanon, and find out, number one, what their budgets are, and number two, how many policemen they have, all right? Find out, town per town. All right, we have around 25,000, and as Frank DeAndrea says, that's we could count on. We don't know how many more we do have. But when you start comparing apples with apples, you will begin to see where we are in the city of Hazleton. And like I said, crime is crime, but when you compare what we have and the tax rate we're paying and the amount of cops we have, we should say our prayers every night and thank the good Lord that we have what we have. With that being said, Mayor, what I wanted to talk about today is again, and I appreciate you coming on the show because I know you got other things happening, but I like to keep people informed. And I always say, Joe, facts are ugly things, particularly when you hit them with facts and to put personalities aside, and it's so difficult when it comes around election time to put personalities aside. And people just shoot sometimes without even knowing what they're talking about. They don't like Joe Yannuzzi, so they're going to say all these things about Joe till they find out the facts. The city of Hazleton, as we sit here today, okay, at the end of October, I know we're going to run the show in the beginning of November, but the point is, where are we in the city of Hazleton financially?
Financially, we made adjustments last year, and I got hammered for it because of the increase in the budget, the millage of taxes. But we made the adjustments, and this year, at this moment right now, we have 2 months left in the year, we are in the black. This is probably the first time in several decades that we have been in the black at this time of the year. Now, we do have other income that was put in our budget by council, which we haven't received yet. They haven't approved a stormwater ordinance rate yet, so that was $500,000. We had some logging that was supposed to be anywhere from $200,000 to $800,000, came in at $200,000, and now they put a hold on it. We're dealing with the water company, and hopefully they can get that $200,000. And they put $100,000 in from the parking authority, which we don't even have at this moment. We will take the parking authority over December 31st, so that means no income from there will come to us. So that's $800,000 that we need to finish the year. If we have that, and if we'd have went with my budget, which was in the millage, we would have been in the black substantially.
Now, when you have a baseball team, a football team, or any successful team or any successful company, GM, you name it, you'll always find that the CEOs are the people that put it together, okay? So you're the mayor, all right? And sometimes people don't know what you do 8 to 10 hours a day when you get in your office. And people do not really know and can see what you face every day, Joe, in your office. It's like an individual household. You could look at the family and say, oh, he's a nice guy, but you don't live in the house. You don't know all the things that are going on. When you started 2 years ago when you ran for mayor, you had an objective for the city, all right? And forget about the election, the amount of votes you got. I always hear, well, you won by this, you won, but that's bull. The fact of the matter is you are the mayor.
Right.
So now you become a mayor, and according to what I see here, and the national information is, they came in, they did an assessment of the city, of the finances, and you guys won an award for that.
Yeah, we showed up pretty good. Well, number one in the county.
So that was your magic wand, wasn't it? You just
Yeah,
said your magic
yeah,
wand, and you
yeah.
waved the wand, and you said, "This is what's going to happen," and that's why you got
We're
on.
using our
Then,
money.
then we have complaints about, we had complaints. We hear about, your cousin, Dominic Yannuzzi, or your second cousin, and that's why, and he's ripping the city off, and he's all these orders. Then when you begin to look at all the individual fees, and you break them down, you find out, again, facts, and people can certainly come and see these facts, that you're not ripping people off. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. We're not ripping people off. When I came into office, I had one objective, which I knew was going on for years, was finance. We are in bad shape. We had an opportunity when they did the reassessment to raise the taxes, and I did an evaluation, and the only thing that we could do to survive and not go into bankruptcy was to raise the taxes. We brought in PEL, who did a study at early intervention before bankruptcy, and they came in, and this was their recommendations too. They had the same recommendations as I did, and that's what we did. We formed a budget with tax increases in it, and we brought it up to where we should be to break even. I think we should be at a higher rate of taxes to serve the public. To serve $25,000, there's some cities that are the same, 25,000 people. There are cities that are the same population as us. We're 8,700,000 total budget. Easton is $28 million budget.
Now, let's stick with Dominic, because he seems to be the person that,
Yeah.
that everyone picks on because, he doesn't know what he's doing. And yet, it seems, now he goes to the airport, and we look at the airport, and we're winning all kind of accolades at the airport. We're moving into the 22nd, we're moving into the current century. He is working with the school district, with businesses, and he's bringing people together. The airport's going to look fabulous when it's done, but yet he's your cousin, Joe,
Yeah,
and therefore it must be bad.
It is bad. That's what they say.
You see, and this is,
Right.
Joe, this is what frustrates
Yeah.
me about.
Yeah, some members of council, and it's Jack Mundy, and I'm not pointing him out because of that, but his father was the street foreman when he was appointed to the water authority. I mean, his father worked with two of his first cousins in that
But that was
department.
okay.
But that was okay.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
his cousins.
Yeah.
These are my cousins. But getting back to Dominic has taken the airport, which was a failure. It wasn't going to make it. It had problems there that the FAA kept bringing up. We spun that around, that I have a letter in my office from the FAA that they have never seen this airport in such a good position right now, in shape, in the last 25 years. So we now own a hangar. We're in the middle of a $50,000 remodeling of the terminal, no cost to the taxpayers. We have all of our leases up to date and paid. We've never had that. Now we are in a profit mode. We bought new trucks for out there. We bought a brand new big tractor because we have to maintain the grass, and it's a big area. So we bought a tractor with grass cutters, plows. We have the city equipment out there for when we get the heavy snow, and yet we're still in the black at the airport.
Again, Joe, we're trying to survive in the city, and we're trying to make it work. When I get to the police department, that's a whole different story.
Yes.
And we'll have politics. But because I don't like Joe Yannuzzi, and I hear the negative comments, I don't mind constructive comments. Believe me, I don't. I think you wouldn't mind them either. But we've taken that airport and made a success out of it. We received awards for a financing. We're $8 million budget versus cities our size that are 20-some million. We have half the cops. that are doing the job of 3 more times the police departments. But yet, you know, I'm sure a lot of people do say, Joe, thank you. But we're coming into a political season right now. It's very important. Joe, for the public, how important is city council to you?
That is a major accomplishment if we can get a cooperative council. And I don't mean to be
A yes person.
Yes person. I mean somebody that's going to participate. They don't participate. They come in only on their signed meeting night, stay there 2 hours, 3 hours, that's it, never see them again. And I'm not talking about all the councilmen, I'm talking about 2.
You're talking about Monday and Mope.
Monday and Mope.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
So you're saying they come in and did they call you before the meeting and say, Mr. Mayor,
No.
I have questions about this agenda?
Absolutely
Okay.
not. No.
Okay.
They have almost 2 weeks between first and second reading. They never call us.
So you're saying to me that if they're at a meeting and
Yeah.
and Jim Perry has an ad where it shows Mr. Monday yelling. Well, I guess he had a reason to yell, but the point was, did Mr. Monday or Mope ever come to your office and say, "Come on, I need to go over these things"?
Mr. Monday only comes to our City Hall Council meeting night. He never comes for any
Does
other
he
reason.
call you and ask you for information?
No, he does not, and he has my cell phone number.
Okay. Folks, we're dealing with, I'm not picking on Jack, I'm not picking on Mrs. Mo, I'm just saying, you know, we have a city here, we have an important thing, we're running a city. The next segment, we're going to talk about our police department. Here again, Frank DeAndrea has been called an embarrassment. The police department has been called an embarrassment. I don't think they are an embarrassment. If anything, we should have a parade for them. We come back after this, folks. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, special edition about the city of Hazleton, very important facts. Remember, folks, I've invited anyone who likes to come on the show, and if they have opposing opinions, I'll be more than happy to listen to them. But you know, folks, I try to deal with facts, and people get upset sometimes. Some people get upset when they hear facts. I always hear people say to me, Sam, really, I didn't know that until you said that. Now, my next guest, no stranger to the show, and I'm very appreciative for Frank DeAndrea coming on the show. He keeps us informed. First of all, Chief, words cannot explain from an owner here in Hazleton. My wife and I and my family who bought this building made an investment and believe in the city of Hazleton. How grateful we are to the great job of the police force, all your police people doing a fabulous job. Kudos to you. And I said we should have a parade in honor of the police department.
Thank you.
You know, we have here this Kevin Herbal Sr. who wrote a letter to the editor saying, time to give city policemen's offices their due. And believe me, it's important. Now, Frank, you know, you were on the show, the last time you were on the show, we talked about, you know, how people are criticizing you, particularly some council members criticizing you, that do your job and go and arrest people. You know, this ordinance nonsense, that you shouldn't be involved with this again. But here we see, even today on our news, the dogfighting, you know, how critical that is. Once again, to reinforce why it is important for you as the police chief to do these things, okay, particularly with the yard ordinance, that I remember you stood in front of council, and I think you said, I'm asking for your help. Did you not say that?
I need your help.
Oh, so you said, now folks, listen to this. Our city police chief gets in front of city council prior to all these things that happen in Hazleton and says, I need your help. 3 people vote against him. The chief of police is asking the council to help him, to help his fellow police department. They vote no, and they voted no against the yard ordinance, right?
The yard sale ordinance, correct.
Okay. And what was the purpose of that yard ordinance?
The purpose comes down to money. At the end of the day, when you quote statistics and look at other people's budget, I recognize firsthand, as does the mayor, because we talk constantly about more cops, safer city. We can't afford 60 cops as would be, or even 50 cops, to get as close to what the statistics, national statistics from the International Association of Chiefs of Police say we should have. 2 cops per 1,000. So recognizing that we cannot afford that number, I always try to come up with out-of-the-box ways to maximize our enforcement efforts. I also look at the ordinances on the book. They were great 50 years ago. The city has changed. The times have changed. So now we need to figure out how to assess the new problems that face the city. One of them is all of these yard sales, so to speak. They're basically businesses that are usurping the rules and regulations because they're just having a yard sale every day in front of their house on the sidewalk. And that issue becomes what necessitates the need for us to figure out how do we stop them. Well, we can't stop them without an ordinance. The fact of the matter is plain and simple. I needed City Council's help to stop them. Now, the rationale behind that is when we arrest drug users, they explain that they are committing all of these petty burglaries. They're breaking into people's houses, they're stealing copper, they're stealing Nintendos, cell phones, anything they can get their hands on, and they sell it as quickly as they can, whether it be in all these secondhand goods stores that have popped up, or they have a yard sale. As soon as they could raise a couple bucks, they go buy more drugs. And the cycle continues. So what I was trying to do is ask City Council, please help me to stop making it so easy for these people to commit burglaries and then go sell your goods. That failed.
Did you explain that? Because I know that was the day we taped the show, and that night we had the meeting. But did you explain to the councilman and woman exactly what you just told me now?
Thoroughly.
Okay. And I understand, for the record, okay, Shatter, was it Shatter who voted? And Mope and Mundy voted against that. Was it Shatter? I don't know.
No, I think the actual vote was Councilman Bast, Councilman Shatter, and Councilman Mundy voted no. Councilman Mope and Mundy voted yes, and then when Councilman Mope recognized that she had voted yes, she changed her vote to no. I'm not sure if the changing of the vote counted or not, but it ended up...
Did they explain to you why they voted no?
Councilman Bast explained to me that he voted no because he believed that the only way to be able to bring it back up was if he voted no. He's the only individual who explained to me why he was voting no, and that was after the fact. Councilman Perry, Councilman Shatter, Councilman Bast, constantly in my office, calling me on the cell phone, sending me emails, asking me questions before the meetings. And so it was very shortly after the meeting that Councilman Bast does not owe me anything, but called me and said, I would like to explain to you why I voted no, because I want to be able to bring it back up because it makes sense. At the other time, Councilwoman Mope was the only person, I believe, who explained that she believed that I was over-regulating the city, and for that reason, that there's a lot of people out there and there's no sense in punishing the good citizens by making a rule that's going to affect them.
Well, would you be punishing those goods? Is there any validity to that?
No. I didn't care what they set the limit at. I was looking for some kind of limit. I had asked for 2 yard sales a year, and I asked everyone on City Council, how many yard sales had they had in the last year? And the consortium said that they had none. So I'm asking, well, then why will 2 yard sales a year hinder you? And if you want to have a third, have it at your neighbor's house. Just give us some kind of way to manage them.
But the thing that I can understand is that the reasoning that you gave is an opportunity for you to start looking at preventing
permits.
Right.
The permit was the key.
Right.
What I wanted people to do was come to City Hall and or go online and register their yard sale so that when a police officer, a code enforcement officer, a health officer, a fire department member drove past and saw a yard sale, if they're displaying a permit, they're fine. No permit gives us the authority to go ask to see their permit. That's what lets the investigation start. The good people would have no problem getting the permits. The dishonest people were going to thwart the law anyway. And I explained very easily, all I'm looking for is for us to be allowed to permit these people. Didn't matter if the permit was free. Didn't matter if the second permit cost $5, some nominal fee to cover the cost of the paper and the administrative work.
For my own edification and also for the viewers, okay, because they're not at these city council meetings. You maybe get 100 or whatever, and there's thousands of people in the town that are either through the standard speaker the next day and our news, they get information about what's happening. Do the councilmen who been opposing you? I mean, there was one councilman sent an email out and said that you and the police force were an embarrassment. What was that all about?
You know what, I apologize for not even, I don't want to poo-poo or dismiss the email, but most of it was nonsensical.
But
the issue was that in there, something had gone on, and I and the police department were being referred to as being said that we're an embarrassment to the city. At the city council meeting, as soon as that email came out, I requested that the councilman who wrote that give not an apology to me, but an apology to the men of that police department that do not deserve anyone, especially the head of a department or a city council member, calling them an embarrassment. These men risk their lives every day.
That was public knowledge. I mean, was that email also sent to the standing speaker?
It was sent to
And
several
also
different
sent
media
also-
outlets.
The Jack
Correct.
Mundy sent that email. Okay, so, but did Mr. Mundy come to you and explain to you why he sent that email?
No, I believe that the explanation was in the name-calling that took place in the email itself. But at the city council meeting, which became the big issue, I was simply saying, you owe the men of my department, not me, the men of my department an apology because they are far from an embarrassment and they should not be disrespected like that.
Okay, did he say anything? Did he apologize? I mean, or
No,
did he-
it was that was the no.
There's a commercial. Okay, okay. That's when. Okay. Once again, folks, we're talking about the city of Hazleton. We're talking about what goes on, and if anything, if I had no knowledge of what the chief of police was going to say, and I sat there, and if the chief came to me and said to me, "I need your help," I have to count on what he's saying because the cops need your help. They need as much as they can get. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show. Remember, sam@ssptv.com is my email, and our website, ssptv.com. And folks, remember, facts are ugly things, and we deal with facts here. Frank, DeAndrea, our chief police, how do we move forward in the city of Hazleton?
We cooperate. We get along. We listen. When somebody has an idea, let's listen to the idea and not necessarily be more concerned with where it's coming from. I'm trying to do absolutely everything I can as an administrator out of the box to squeeze blood out of a rock. You know, code, health. I would love to only be in charge of one department. It's not the case. And I take on those added responsibilities because I believe that it makes sense that code and health and the police are intertwined. So we move forward by trying to figure out how to make this town safer. And it's an ugly, bitter pill to swallow. I can't make this town any safer without more people, more cops. We are doing absolutely everything we can.
And Joe, how do we get him more cops?
Well, it's going to have to be the public. They're going to have to come forward and ask for more police. We recommend that there be more police added to it. Like we've said, the Police Chiefs Association, they come up with the 2 men per 1,000. That's not a Yannuzzi idea. That's their idea. We're nowhere near 2. But if we could get 5 to 6 more police officers on patrol, I think it would be a better place to live, a lot easier to solve the crimes, and it's something we need, but the public has to come forward and say they're willing to pay for it. We looked at our budget for years, and it's not a Yannuzzi thing again. It's 101 business. If you're income doesn't match your expenses, cut your expenses. If you can't cut your expenses, then you got to lift your income. And that's what we did. We brought it to a point, but not the point where we have more police on the streets. But hopefully, if the public steps forward and says that and votes this coming election, the right people in, we can do it.
Frank?
Just like, needing more people, unfortunately, it's usually something to outrage the public for them to come forward. In 2006, police officers were involved in a shooting. The public became outraged at the conditions because they understood the conditions of the city, and within a few months, they hired 10 more cops. The public is at that point again where they're trying to figure out why the city is in the state that it's in. And I would simply ask, just like I asked City Council for their help, I will ask the public for their help. Please contact your City Council people and ask them to figure out a way to put more cops on the street. I can't keep you safe without them.
Well, with that being said, here again, I think it's very important, and I'm not picking. People say, "Oh, you're picking on this." When if it was Joe, if you weren't doing a good job, we'd be saying you're not doing what you're doing, and has nothing to do. And this is not a personal thing, but we always hear the town isn't the way it should be. The town, okay, some places I get so upset. So if you don't like the town, move out. I mean, the point is we have to make it happen. Okay, we live here. I don't live here, but I have an investment here. And here again, Frank, I can't thank you and the policemen enough for what you guys are doing, okay? Believe me. And Joe, dealing with the finances, you got an $8 million budget. Other cities our size are $25 million. Hey, it doesn't make sense. But once again, I know as Frank says, we could have a 2-hour show, but I appreciate you coming on the show and talking to us. Election time is very important, folks. You decide, but do your homework. And it's our city. Hazleton really affects all of the area. That's why we're so much concerned about making this a safer place to live in. And we're moving that way thanks to the great job that our police department is doing and all the people, the street workers, everyone who's affiliated with the city, working their butts off trying to make it a great place to live in. We'll see you next time.